Just been handed some reporting that went public 17 minutes ago from the Wall Street Journal, time-stamped 11:03 p.m. Here's the headline. Attorney says Cohen directed his lawyer to seek Trump pardon, contradicting testimony. It's the work of Rebecca Ballhaus, who is with us by telephone. Rebecca, tell folks who are watching the lead and the import of your reporting here.
Sure. So what we learned tonight from Michael Cohen's current lawyer is that last spring, shortly after the FBI raid of his properties, Cohen directed his attorney to inquire about the possibility of a presidential pardon. We had reported earlier this week that his attorney had contacted several lawyers for Trump in those weeks after this April raid and raised the possibility of a pardon, which it seems was pretty much dismissed, although they left open the possibility of a pardon in the future. But the reason that this is important is because Cohen said last week to the House Oversight Committee that he had never asked for, nor would he accept, a pardon from Trump. And while this reporting doesn't show that Cohen personally sought a pardon, it does show that he was very involved in efforts to ask Trump lawyers for a pardon.
Yeah, you just jumped to my question, because I've learned with this crowd, you have to figure out how much room everybody has to wiggle out of a quote. Could Cohen saying, "I never asked for a pardon," give him the room he needs if someone came back at him and said, "Yeah, but your lawyer apparently did"? Could he find just enough plausible deniability in there? I don't know.
I think it's likely that he will make the argument that because he did not personally ask Trump lawyers for a pardon, that he was not lying to the committee. But at the very best, it seems he was misleading the committee. And I think he's going to get a lot of questions about that, in particular from Republicans on the committee who have already accused him of perjuring himself last week.
And in your line of work, I guess it's fair to say, especially in just these days since the public Cohen hearing, the notion of pardons as a story, as a line of questioning, has just exploded, correct?
That's right. And we saw these requests go out from the House Judiciary Committee earlier this week to more than 80 associates of the president. And many of those requests referenced or asked for documents related to the discussion of possible pardons for not just Michael Cohen, but also for Paul Manafort, the president's former campaign chairman, and for Mike Flynn, his former national security advisor. So we may see more come out still on the subject of these pardon discussions.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.